Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC, and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. Also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you'd like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it put together live, send me a message today. Alright, so tonight we're going to be building Keith's PC, and I guess the big standout for tonight's build is these new power supplies that have a few people going a little bit nutso at the moment. So I only got this one because it's the same price as the other 1000-watt one that I was looking at. Now, what is interesting about this power supply is it has the modular cables on the side instead of at the back of the power supply. So they're more accessible, if that makes sense. So you don't have to pull the power supply out to get to your power cables. That's the main benefit of that. I never thought I'd see the day where they'd make this sort of user-friendly modification to the design. But anyway, that's what Corsair has done. So we're gonna be checking that out. So basically, the power supply gets mounted in the case, and then you have all of the cables sticking out towards the back of the case there, so you can access them all on the side instead of them being at the back of the power supply. So yeah, a bit of interesting engineering there, I guess, to say the least. Yep. Hey Dean, how you going? Good to have you with us. Hey Richard, how you going? Good to have you with us. Alright, so let's go through the components here. So we've got a Ryzen 7600X. We've got a Gigabyte B650 Gaming XAX motherboard. We got 32 gigabytes of Corsair RAM. We've got a 1TB NVMe SSD. We've got an RTX 4080, so the PNY. And then we've got the aforementioned Corsair RM1000x power supply. So in addition to having all of the power connectors on the side of the actual power supply, it's also got the 12 plus 4-pin connector for our 40 series graphics card directly from the power supply. So we don't need any adapter cables or any of that for this. One of the annoying things is they're kind of bulky, those adapters, and they're really difficult to sort of do the cable management on. You can do it. You can do it up neatly. It's just really fiddly. So it's good, and people seem to be a lot more comfortable with the new power connector when it's coming straight from the power supply versus going through an adapter. So you get that as well. And we're going to be putting everything in an Antec D-Flux 800 case, and we've got a Deepcool LS720 cooler there. So these are good coolers. I've used them a number of times before, and they've got a 5-year warranty, just like the Corsair ones. So definitely worth checking out. You might have had like a crappy Deepcool cooler from back in the day. It's not what this one is. Not with that 5-year warranty on the pump. So
Dean's long Facebook stalker, first time viewer.
hey Dean, oh that's nice to hear, mate. That's nice to hear. Good to have you with us. Antec. Yes, Antec make excellent cases. They have for many years. It's got to be over 20 years at this stage. 25 years, I think I might have seen, or maybe 35 years. I literally think they've been around for that long. All right, let's get stuck right into this build. Okay, so let's have a look at this motherboard. What do we get? Come around so you can have a bit of a closer look at the board. Okay, so this is the board here. So we've got 12 pins of CPU power, nice heat sinks here on our MOSFET VRM co-processors. We've got our AM5 socket here. So this is probably the main sort of big difference here with this motherboard compared to the traditional AMD AM4 socket. So we have the same sort of socket style that you would normally see on an Intel board. That is the new AM5 socket for AMD. So no more pins on the bottom of the CPUs now. So up the top here we've got 3 fan headers, 3 RGB headers, 4 slots for our memory, so dual channel memory across the 4 slots. We've got our, obviously our motherboard power. Is that it's a reset switch button there. I was looking at it, I'm like, is that a clear CMOS? No, that's just a reset switch button, but still handy to have. Another fan header, so that's fan header number 4. USB-C. We've got 4 SATA ports. We've got a horizontally orientated USB 3 there, so I quite like that. Down the bottom here, we have our front panel connections. We've got fan header number 5, 2 USB 2s. We've got a COM port, looks like. TPM headers, and another couple of RGB headers, looks like. Then our front panel audio, obviously these little gold capacitors down here are the audio capacitors. Pretty much like a sound card baked into your motherboard. It's always down the bottom corner there, and you'll see the audio outputs also down that end there. They try to keep all that stuff together. Digital audio is an electrical signal, so it's subject to EM interference from other things that are electronic, so that's just the general design you'll see on all RTX motherboards. Alrighty, and so around the back here we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 USBs, and one is a Type C. We've got DP and HDMI, but they won't be in use for this build. All of our display outputs will be coming from the graphics card. We'd have Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.1, 2.5 gigabit LAN, and we've even got a PS2 port there for our old school keyboards and mice, and some that aren't so old school as well. So there's some really expensive keyboards that use this connection. So just a little FYI there. So yeah, that's the Gigabyte B650 Gaming XAX motherboard. Yeah.
Dean wants to know, thanks for the question, what's your perfect case you prefer working on?
What do I prefer? What might be my perfect case? Oh, I think it could possibly be, when it comes to practicality, the Antec Deflux series is absolutely excellent. Everything's in the right place, really easy to build in. I recommend this case, whether you're a pro builder and you're building PCs like what I'm doing. It's a great case to build in. If it's your first time building a PC, it's also a great case to build in. You're not gonna sort of struggle to build your PC. You're not going to struggle to get everything in place in here. There's plenty of room. It's not too big. There's not too much stuff that you've got to do. But once again, there's not really too much that you can get wrong with it as well. So the simplicity and the good design. I mean, one thing that's really great about this case, in terms of, like I said, practicality and stuff, you've actually got room to mount 1, 2, 3 3.5 inch drives, and 1, 2, 3 2.5 inch drives. So if you wanted 3 hard drives and 3 SATA SSDs, you could have them all mounted in and done up at the back of this case. You've got the included 6 device fan and 5 volt RGB controller. that simplifies your life with cables for hooking the rest of it up. You really can't go wrong with this case. 360mm radiator fits up top. Happy days. But when it comes to a case that I think looks really good, and if you're after something a little bit fancier than the Deflux series, I would probably look at something like a Lian Li Dynamic 11. Any of that series of cases, they look really good. There's also the NZXT H5 series, which is excellent as well, and the H7 as well. They're great. And then on the budget side of things is a little bit weird because there'll be different things that are on special at a certain price, and so what I would suggest for a budget case would be a little bit different depending on the week and depending on what's available. That sort of dictates how I determine what budget case I recommend to people. Alrighty, so let's get started here. We've got our AM5 CPU here, so that means that our Ryzen CPU isn't quite as delicate as it used to be. Like we had an instance a little while ago, well not a little while ago, it's actually quite recently, where we had some bent pins on an AMD CPU that came in from a customer. It wasn't one of my customers, but it was a customer that was referred to me, and yeah, basically when they'd gone to install it, just had a couple of pins not quite sitting right, and when they put the cooler on, it bent them slightly. And this was unknown to the person who put the PC together, and then the customers couldn't get it to work, couldn't get it to turn on, couldn't get it to do anything. It changed the RAM and did all this, and yeah, it took me to sort of pull the thing apart to work out exactly what was wrong, and fortunately for them it was quite an easy fix. So, but yeah, it's very nerve-wracking if you bent your CPU pins, and you're an amateur builder. It's probably something that people get a little bit scared about it. They're like, oh, this little chip that I'm holding here is worth like $600, you know. Oh, I don't want to damage anything. And it's like, well, you know, you could potentially damage something, but I mean, at least the pins are out there on the bottom of the chip. It's better than when you damage the pins that are inside the socket. So I can usually repair either the pins in the socket or an AM4 CPU, but I'd much prefer to repair an AM4 CPU with bent pins than I would an LGA socket. Yeah, what's up?
Oh, don't worry.
You're just laughing at something else.
Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, I'll take your word for that. She says I don't want to know. I trust her.
You better or not.
Okay, so we'll plug in our SSD there. So there are two M2 slots down here, so we only need one of them. One will be spare, and then there's the third M2 slot above where our graphics card's going to go. And so we'll probably end up utilizing that top slot eventually. But yes, you won't have to take that big heatsink off because that'll get covered up by the graphics card. So I want to leave that top slot accessible. What's up? Ah, yes. Who posted that? Oh, yeah.
It's just a sponsor thing.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. What, cable extenders?
Yeah.
Well, those ones there, they're just the regular X8 ones.
Okay.
Yeah. They're nothing special because there's only one power connector on the cards.
Oh, that's a RX 7900 XTX.
Yeah, that's not a 40 series card.
I thought it was because it was chunky.
Yeah.
George says, hi guys.
Hey George, how you going?
Keith says, I finally found it.
Who?
Keith.
Ah. Oh, hey Keith, how you going? That took me a second there. Don't mind me. You can watch back. You can watch back on the start at any time. Once we're done, yeah, you can play it back from the start. You can download it from YouTube as well. There should be a download option there. If you want to, don't know why you wouldn't just stream it, but you can download it if you want. So we're just getting this cooler prepped for AM5 and AM4. That's the same mounting bracket. I just see this shape and I say AM4. That's just how long it's been AM4 for. Yes, AM44. It's a thing.
Every nerdy girl wants Lego flowers.
Lego flowers, yeah, there you go.
Here you go, Tim.
There's some flowers
There's
that I
my
can...
belated Valentine's Day present. Love you.
So we need to remove the standard mounting bracket.
Being awesome. I'm going by the Street Jesus and Christine.
Street Jesus.
Street Jesus!
I actually saw a dude that made me think street Jesus this afternoon when we were coming out of J-Car, actually.
Oh, really?
He had a really long beard, really long hair, and kind of looked like Jesus. And I was just like, ha! Street Jesus! Does that CPU block come with pre-applied thermal?
It sure does. Before anyone freaks out that I didn't put thermal paste down, I definitely do. We've got thermal compound pre-applied with this cooler. So no problems there. Oh no. Oh no. I want to route these cables discreetly. There we go. Oh. So pro tip, don't drop your screws. But the other pro tip is to screw in from your opposite corners, and if possible, stick the cooler down. Make sure that the offsets that you're using are definitely the right length for the CPU that you're installing on. You'll want to make sure that it's actually making contact with the CPU. So a good way to do that is to just push it down with your hand and push out all the air from in between the cooler block and the CPU lid. You get your thermal paste there, bit of surface tension there. That should be sort of holding the CPU block in there at least for a few seconds. And that's a good way to make sure that you're definitely making contact with the CPU. I've seen people with random coolers and stuff like that go and install it, and they haven't even been making contact. They've screwed the screws down all the way as tight as it goes, but they're about 1 millimeter off the top of the CPU. So that doesn't really work too good. It's pretty much like it's not working at all. Oh, we got a little puppy dog. Little dog. We have 8 of these little dogs. He has no idea what the hell's going on.
He's very cute, very little.
Dogs aren't really very self-aware, so they don't know how big or small they are. That's why you'll get a dog and it'll still jump in your lap like it's a puppy, even if it's, you know, a very big dog. Okay, so our cooler's mounted. We do get these little guides here for our hoses. I don't think you really need them. I normally take them off. I prefer the minimalist thing. And then we've got our fan header here from the CPU. So it's not really actually the the thing that's giving it power, you're getting power through this connection here, and there's no other data connection on this cooler. So it's actually, this cooler here is actually a fairly easy one to set up. And then this connection here, this goes to your fans. And this is where it might get a little bit more complicated. You've got to sort of chain your fans up with these cables. So the main one here,
Tim?
yeah.
This 4080 looks quite slim. Are you picking the box, picture of the box?
Oh, it's chunkier than it looks. Let me turn it around there. That's a very, what would you call that? It's a very sort of direct angle on it, on the front. You can't really see much depth. Alright, so you got your SATA power in this end, and then you've got this connection here, and this is for both the fans and the RGB. Runs through this circuit. So you got this end here. This is coming for the CPU pump, and that's going to plug in to one of your fans. Yeah.
Someone tampered with your lassie.
Someone tampered with my lassie.
The puppies.
Oh no, oh yes, yes. Sorry, that took me a little while.
What's going on tonight?
That took me a little while. Okay. I reckon we chuck in another one of these deep cool fans on the back. Consider this a free gift. Okay. So when you're setting up your fans for your LS720 or LS series cooler, your fans will look like this. It's just got this connector on one end, and then there's also a socket on each of them there. So you've got to basically chain up your power, and this connector here is the source of your power. So it's got a SATA power cable there, and then it's got the RGB and the fan cable. These two cables here, the RGB and fan cable, they go to the motherboard. And then we got to chain up all of our fans and cooler through this, and then the final one goes back to this. And we can make use of an extension cable here as well, which makes this cable here at the back even longer and giving us even more room to feed it through. So that will make our lives a bit easier. So we'll use this back fan here. We'll chuck it on the back there. We've just got a black one up there. And then once we've done this, we're pretty much ready to start plugging things in.
17-year-old girl was rescued from the rubble from that church earthquake.
Oh fuck.
She spent 10 days on the rubble. Oh God, you're alive.
Shit, eh? Okay. So our radiator will be in the case something like that. So I want to make sure all of my cables are down this end of the radiator. So trust me, measure twice, cut once. What?
You measure. Yeah.
You measure!
Sorry.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so basically this one here from the motherboard, we plug that one in up here, and so the radiator, sorry, the pump, I should say, the pump is actually the end of the chain here. So then we're chaining everything back to what will be our rear fan, and then our rear fan will get plugged in to our power at the back, and then we've got our daisy chain that's all hooked up through this one cable here. So little bit, might seem a little bit complicated, but it's actually really simple. Just might do your head in a little bit the first time you do this. Okay, so cables. This is probably the only thing I don't like about this case, is they've just got all these like cables just sort of tied up on themselves with these like cable ties, like twist ties. I personally remove these sort of ties. Okay, but it's relatively easy to sort out. So just get one cable tie wherever my bag is. Should be around here somewhere. Like one actual cable tie, like a plastic one, not a twist tie or braid tie or whatever you want to call them. And then all this excess, you can just tuck it around the lip of the case there. And then that's all out of sight. I do have a little packet of bolts and hardware in there. I'm just going to leave that in the fan tray. Okay, so that's all coming along. Let's have a look at this power supply. Alrighty, so here it is. Totally different connectors there. Check that out. Now they might look pretty much the same, but these are all smaller. Check that out.
Yeah, I saw.
Now that's something interesting. That's something I did not expect with this. Definitely something that I've overlooked. All of them are smaller than your regular ones. So let's open up the Okay, so here's a regular PCIe 6+2 pin connector, right? So it's your 8 pin. This is the size of the connector that's going in to the power supply. So it's like a little mini 4 pin. Look at that. And so yes, this does have the 12 plus 4 pin adapter there. So we are still getting a direct cable to our graphics cards. It's going to look nice and neat. But yeah, little mini connectors. Wow. I was not expecting that.
So,
Yeah.
you know, we need to know how much is this little...
I think this was... Oh, how much did we go for this? This would have been fairly expensive. We've got all good stuff here. Ryzen 5000, DDR5. Sorry, Ryzen 7000, I should say. Alright, so we need one of these. Alrighty, it's a nice flat black cable here for our 40 series card, so that will look quite nice. It's got a couple of pre-installed just cable ties there, but it's nice and easy to move the cables through the cable ties there, so they're working and they're just the right sort of tightness for it. Alright, so we don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. We need that. We need that. We need that. And we need that. And then all the rest of this we don't need. Yeah. Ah,
He's getting old. Just nice.
you can have a. Didn't come with your power supply, but you can have a little bag here for your extra cables.
He says 4K.
What's that?
He said 4K.
4K. Yes. Yep. That sounds about right. Yeah, it would get up that much. It's not cheap, but I mean this, you know, you don't really need. You won't need to get a new PC for a while. I mean, this power supply alone has a 10-year warranty. So I mean, you're pretty much, realistically, a power supply like this can last you for 2 PC builds, not just this one. CPU. Well, you're definitely not gonna be one of those people forcing your cables in around the wrong way. That won't happen. Physically won't fit, no matter how hard you push.
Wow. Sorry. She's at least 50 or 80 or 90.
Okay, so here's our power supply. So this is it there at the back, and our cables are coming out the side. They're also little tiny mini cables because I don't know, I'm not an electrical engineer, so I cannot answer your question about why they've used little mini connectors for this as opposed to the regular ones that you'd be more familiar with. So it's just an interesting design having the cables there on the side. Like it's kind of good for someone who's planning on upgrading, I guess, and adding more and more power over time. We've certainly got the capacity here being a 1000 watt power supply. It's pretty much all the juice you'll need to do whatever, you know. Even if we move into the era of graphics cards using 600 watts, 1000 watts is still going to be plenty. Even if you want to run, you know, a fair bit of CPU, fair bit of RGB, you're going to be set. Remember that there's pretty much no scenario where you're going to be using 100% of your graphics card and 100% of your CPU at the same time and 100% of your motherboard. So you can always count on your actual consumption being significantly lower. Alright. So now for the fiddly part. We do have all of the correct offsets in place for this. and get a couple of these in place. Okay. Okay. So once you get your radiator in place, then you can go and put some bolts in the top of it. Now what I like to do to save a bit of time and increase efficiency and stuff like that is to actually do your bolts up while you're waiting for software to load. So the bare minimum you need to screw in at this stage, you'll see me do this in a few different builds. Why do I feel like I'm catching on?
I didn't know this. Did you know that Internet Explorer's been like discontinued basically? That they've where is it? The support for Internet Explorer ended last year.
Yes. Yep.
I didn't even know that.
Yep.
And Internet Explorer 11 has been permanently disabled through Microsoft Edge on certain versions of Windows 10.
Yeah. Yep, they pretty much pulled the plug on it. They pulled the plug on it. It's just too unsecure for today's.
I haven't used Internet Explorer for years.
No one has.
It's been like, I don't know, 20 years since I've used it last, I think. Ever since Google came out, like Google Chrome
Yeah.
and stuff. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, I'll use that. That's better.
Yep. Essentially. Okay. So I'll turn this around here now so you can see what we're dealing with. We've got our USB front panel audio, front panel connectors there. We've got, oh, stay over there for now. I know you're keen, just... Alright, so the other ones we've got coming from our controller here. So we should be able to hook up all of our addressable cables from our cooler through this controller. So we can just have the two cables, one for the fans and one for the RGB, hooked up through the controller. And that will make our lives a lot easier. So you can use that cable length there to go around the outside. And we can pretty much just come in underneath all of our side orientated power cables. And then these can just get plugged in up here. Oh, hang on. No, I'm gonna have to run I'm going to have to run this particular cable to the motherboard. It's just going to have to happen. Just because it's a addressable only PWM cable, and the connectors on this controller is DC. If you've got just a normal PWM fan, you can plug it into a DC header and it works just fine. It just runs in DC mode, not PWM mode, and some really low RPM settings won't work. But that's no big deal. The two cables that we're going to have to run up the top here though are our CPU cables. Connector number 1. And number 2. And number 2. And now for these cables here, we can just tuck them around the lip. Shouldn't be any need to tie anything down or for any special tie down points. You should just be able to get your two cables, run them up the top. And just stick them around the lip. Just like that. There's no need to go nuts out the back here with cable ties and shit like that, because if you ever have a problem, it's just another thing to cut out and plug back in again. Okay, so our last one here is our SATA cables. So we can hook them in, and then every other cable is something that we are going to be plugging in directly to the motherboard. So we don't actually need these other two SATAs, therefore if Keith has any other drives connected. Yeah.
Rambo.
I know. That's what I was thinking though. Alrighty. So it's all coming along now. Now that we've got those cables sort of in place, your CPU that goes around the edge, the other power cables for our cooler, we've now got these other ones to deal with. So pretty simple with our front panel audio. we can also run that around the side here, and it might sort of not have quite enough room to stick in with everything else, but it'll just sort of sit in there when our back panel is on. So you might think, oh, it's the cable's not really sticking down nicely now or something like that, but that doesn't really matter, because you got to remember what's the cables, how the cable's going to be after several hours of the door being shut, the back panel being on, I should say, more accurately. It's kind of like a door. So USB 3, once again we can just sort of push that around the side there. It's got that horizontally orientated USB 3, which is in a really good spot for this case. It uses pretty much the perfect amount of that USB 3 cable. And then finally we just got our front panel connectors, and they can just go through from the bottom here, that's fine. I'll feed them through. Then we've got our USB. No, we don't have USB 2, sorry. We've just got our 2 fan headers and 1 RGB header. No worries. So I can go down there. Do we have 2 fan headers down the bottom? No. Okay. We've got 1 down the bottom, and we can go 1 up the top. Sorted. There we go. We've got this reverse fan in the way. That is making that substantially harder. So that might be a bit of a pain for some people actually. There we go. Okay. So we can bring this fan at the back here up a little bit more, because that's one little technicality here when you're mounting a 360mm radiator to the top of this case. You've got to pull this fan down just a little bit to give you the clearance that you need. Okay, so other than our motherboard and our graphics card, we've got everything plugged in at the back here. So like I said, plenty of room. It's always a pleasure building in this case. And like I said, especially with these bigger, chunkier ones, don't worry about it just sort of sitting there, because once it has the back panel put on it, it's just going to sit there nice and neatly, not going to cause any problems at all. This one here, so our graphics card cable. So this is probably the one that you're sort of going to see the most. So we're going to try to minimize this when we plug it into our graphics card. Okay, let's get rid of this sticky that's over our CPU block. Okay, so graphics card time. So we're utilizing slots 2 and 3 here for this graphics card. So I think it's a 2.7 slot card. No, it is a triple slot card, not a 2.7. So someone was saying that the 4080 looked small. So, well, let's get it around the right way. Yeah, it's definitely not small. She chunky. Triple slots at the back there. Alrighty, so covered in plastic, in true Asus, I mean PNY style.
Kiri says this is awesome and great stuff. I'm over here. Come and see now.
Ah, awesome. Okay, so there is our big chunky card. So we're not utilizing slots 2 and 3, we're utilizing slots 2, 3 and 4 here for our chunky one. Alrighty, that is looking pretty tidy. And so some of you might be wondering what that fan is at the bottom there, and I'll show you. This might be another reason why you should love the Gentek D-Flux series. Sorry about all that clutter there. It's got a vent on the back panel there, so you can draw cool air in at the back there. Reverse fan on the bottom blows cool air directly onto your graphics card. And so everything at the back here, that'll fit nice and neatly. You shouldn't have any issues screwing it down. That'll just sit nicely, just like that. So yeah, let's see if it actually works. That's always a good sign. Me talking about how much I like the case and how good the graphics card is if it doesn't actually work.
Jesus Christ. I apologize on the finance of the Hayward in 2017 in New Zealand. That's as tall as me and weighs as much as a gorilla.
A penguin.
A penguin, yeah.
Ha, nice.
Prehistoric penguin.
Prehistoric penguin.
340 pounds.
340-pound penguin. Bloody hell.
That's a big boy.
Okay. Do you want to plug in the... Do you want to plug the gray cable in?
I did. Okay.
Alrighty, we have posted. Just realised there's a couple of bolts I haven't screwed in. I might want to screw those bolts in beforehand.
This is from the power supply or something.
Yep. Okay, so before we do anything, we're going to go and update the BIOS here. We've got one from January 2023.
I'm talking to the cat. He was looking at the computer. I'm like, I want to sit on that table.
Mate, I do call these things towers, but they're not for cats. They're not a cat tower.
I think he begs to differ.
Yeah, he does, because he's a fluffy cat.
Fucking y'all.
Mm-hmm. Fluffy cat. Hey? No, don't want a bar of me?
It just
Okay.
says we need the cat to lay on it. He says meow. That's really funny. When he's hungry. That's the only time he meows. He says, don't worry, my cat tends to pop himself on the computer.
Yeah.
Buddy will just break it in for you. You're in the way. Oh, no. Exit kitty. Just put it on the back of it just in case he fucks it up.
Yeah.
'Cause I know he will.
Sometimes he can bend the dust filters, so I've got to be a little bit careful with that because I don't want to send people's dust filters out bent. That wouldn't look too good.
I think Buddy just wants more dinner.
Yeah, he does. He's a fluffy cat. Alrighty. So we got a big bag of goodies here for Keith as well. Sorry it's not a Corsair bag to go with your Corsair power supply, but Corsair didn't give you one. That's okay. You can have one of my spares. Okay. So now that we've done that, we can go and what have we got here? A CPU fan. So we can just put that straight to full speed. That's the pump that's plugged into that one. CPU optional. and it is voltage, slope, and one, two, three. So this is fan 3. Oh no, hang on. That's that one there is the bottom one is the one coming from the cooler. So that's PWM. Yeah.
Huh.
Yep,
No.
sweet. And our CPU, our pump, just on full speed. Excellent. Got our XMP profile on. Alright, so this will be a nice cool build, this one. So ready for any extra storage devices that you want to add. You can go absolutely nuts in this case. Like I said, you can fit 3 hard drives and 3 SATA SSDs, plus you can fit 2 more M2 drives to the motherboard.
I want that board.
Oh, is it Limelight?
Live mixer.
Live mixer.
Yeah. I would upgrade my CPU just to get that board. I like it. It's my favorite color, and it's so cool. I want it. It's a birthday present.
Sell your PC.
Well, I'm sure I could sell mine. Someone would buy it. For way too much RGB.
Alrighty, so our region. Oh, just gone past it. Australia. We use the US keyboard layout. Yeah.
It's luggage, but also scooter.
Ha, nice.
I want it.
Okay, let's tidy up the taskbar a little bit. Get some Windows updates. Get Cinebench R23. What we got there? 4080. That should install from Windows. Eh. So put down some custom desktop icons so I don't make a mess of the place.
I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
So cool.
Okay. So we'll install CPU Z, Crystal Disk Info, Crystal Disk Mark.
I don't know if you can see that from there, but see how there's a kink in that bottom pipe? Would that be detrimental to the system? Would that have-
Yeah, generally with soft tubing like that, you might have to add a couple of cable ties to stop it from bending like that, because it will constrict the flow. And constricted flow means a laboured pump and all that, and you don't want that.
Ah. It's the first time that's built it.
Yep.
And it wasn't there until they closed up the glass.
Yeah. Yeah, it
And
won't.
he's getting a 90-degree fitting to go on it.
Yep. That's
So,
ideal.
like, cut it.
Yeah.
Got to cut it and redo it.
Yep. Yeah.
Richard says, wow, nice, I think I'll get this case too. He says he's got two old HDD to SSD.
Yep. Yeah, well, there you go. You got plenty of room for drives in this case. That's the good thing about it.
Nicholas says, good morning.
Hey man, how you going? Good to have you with us.
So
Yeah.
Hugh says he got a quote from you yesterday. Hopefully he'll know by next week it'll be okay to build.
Yep.
He's in Brisbane for next week for his son's kilo.
Oh shit. Hope everything's alright.
Little trooper.
Yep. Yeah.
Don't know what cancer can do to people's families, and it's fucked up. Fuck cancer.
Hopefully, I don't wanna like dismiss it or anything like that, but I do know that there's quite a few childhood cancers that are fairly treatable right now, and the prognosis for young kids isn't as bad as what it used to be. So hopefully you're in that. I really hope you're in that boat. Alright, so we should be looking pretty good here, I think.
So Keith says, just like when I install things, enter.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no need to restart your computer after every time or anything like that.
Oh, jeepers. Richie says I found out last week my old next door neighbour asked, and he found out today his old workmate died 2 weeks ago.
Yep. Yep.
It's depressing.
Okay, that's all sorted. Looks like MSI Afterburner didn't install properly, and for some reason Office. So we got our 4080 there. And why are we still showing Microsoft Basic Display Adapter? That should disappear when we restart. Okay, so MSI Afterburner is going to install properly for us. But what about the Gigabyte app? It's like that Gigabyte app didn't even install for us. Let me just... So this should have installed automatically. It actually came up and I did click install. Okay, so RGB, yeah, okay, no worries. We don't need any of them. Yep. Yeah. No, don't say thanks. We all mean it. We're all just as vulnerable as each other with regards to cancer.
But it sucks even more when it's a little kid.
Yeah, I know. They haven't even started life.
That's just not fair, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah, they haven't even started life. Okay. So while that's going on, we can set up MSI Afterburner if it wants to even open up for us. Nah. let's reinstall it. What's that?
She would have gone okay. She would have heard songs too. Yeah, definitely. He says he's on the Gold Coast. If you can get it built, you can pick up.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yep. Pickups preferred because I go to I put a decent amount of effort into getting him ready for shipping, packing the internals with foam and taping up the boxes and stuff. Yep.
Which he was saying, his old next door neighbor had bone cancer and he had brain cancer.
Oh,
I know somebody who suffers from brain tumors and she's still alive actually. Fuck for that. But it's mum's friend. Kid says like reports on virus applications more etc. or because Windows
Windows is pretty good for like 99.9% of users. I would only worry about extra security if I was really had some really serious security concerns. Windows Defender is quite good these days, so there was Norton that came free with the motherboard. I didn't even bother installing it. It's just an extra bit of software that you don't really need. You can install it if you want. Yeah, like I said, it comes free with the motherboard anyway. But I normally just let people use Windows Defender because most people are just using it for gaming. They're not, going on to strange websites and all that. It's generally all good, just with Windows Defender. Alright, so I have to reinstall MSI Afterburner. That was the only thing that didn't install properly. This is an excellent app. It allows you to do whatever you want. Okay, so there's a couple of things that didn't install there. We'll do them now. Okay, so there we are, our RTX 4080. can set up custom fan curve. Normally do this. We don't need our graphics card overheating before it gets to 100 degrees. Sorry, before it gets to 100%, I should say, not degrees. Yeah.
Tell my CPU is so type 48 and I think it's a spaceship. 'Cause it's rounded.
Here comes the Enterprise, eh?
But pretty much.
Not a lot of CPU options at the moment. You get that with new CPUs. Okay. Alrighty, so let's run some gaming benchmarks on our RTX 4080. So I'll run Heaven here on high, no anti-aliasing, and this is at 1080p. So our 4080 is going to make a complete mockery of the benchmark here. Yeah.
George said he was using Bitdefender, but it slowed down considerably, which he also read online. People having the same issues.
Bitdefender. Yeah, I got Bitdefender on mine personally. I've had them for years.
So
Yeah.
he says he's off to bed. See you at 1 second past 11 tomorrow.
Yeah, no worries. I'll see you then.
Emily says hi.
Hey Emily, how you going? Good to have you with us. Just look at that frame rate. Huge. 700 frames per second. 800 frames per second. It just makes a
Probably go up to
mockery.
9, I reckon.
Yeah, makes a mockery of this. Ha! I think they've done that intentionally. Yeah. Yeah.
You know that Aussie man reviews?
Yeah.
He's really taking
Who?
Jack Black.
Oh, true.
Look how old he is.
Yeah.
Jeebus.
Alrighty. So that one's all sorted. So next we'll run Valley on Ultra with max anti-aliasing.
Oh, that
Lovely.
is so cool. Um,
So this is a more demanding benchmark. It's also on higher settings.
struck by lightning in 5 seconds.
Oh. I was wondering what the fire was. Little dogs.
They're all very small,
Very small dogs.
very bitey.
Yeah, they're bitey, but they don't know. They're just dogs.
Oh, they'll learn. I'll just keep grabbing their muzzles.
Just push them away.
Oh, that just makes it worse when they're puppies.
Just
eh?
push them away harder. They're dogs. They're all right. You can't really hurt them. Like,
I was doing that to Aragon and he started growling at me. I had to grab him by the muzzle.
I do that anyway. Just to show dominance. Little puppies. I grab them around the muzzle. I give them a pat with my thumb. Little puppies. They like me.
Yeah, they're also
They don't-
know
they-
how to take you though, because they're not used to you yet.
Huh?
They're not used to you yet though.
Yeah, I know. Alrighty, so that was Valley there on Ultra with max anti-aliasing. And next we'll do superposition here, 4K resolution.
That's cute.
Alrighty. And so that was superposition there at 4K. Oh, Cinebench isn't there. I swear I selected download for that. Oh, okay. Alrighty, so straight up to 90 degrees, that's normal for Ryzen 7000 when running Cinebench. And how's our graphics card looking? Haha, Cool, calm, just like my mom.
Have you ever seen baby porcupines before?
Now I have.
They're so cute.
Alrighty. Well, Keith's gone to bed, and that's pretty much it for the night, I think. Is there some other questions or?
Yeah, we're curious to see you testing that right now. Are you testing? Yes.
Yep. But yeah, this is where we end the stream actually, because we don't stay live while it's doing this. Yeah.
Emily wants to know how's the cat.
Yeah, the cat's good. I don't know where he is. Does he run off?
He's asleep on the stairs.
Oh, okay.
Wants to know
He's
how-
sort of a little bit scared of being up here at the moment because we got puppies on the veranda, and they obviously smell like puppies, and the cat's just like, yeah, I don't know, man. I think we'll stay away. But yes. No, happy days. This is all good and ready to go. It's behaving as expected. And here's one of our little puppy dogs. So if you're in Brisbane and want to get yourself a pit bull, come and check out the puppies. You can come and see the parents and all of that. But yes, we're pretty much selling them at what it bloody costs to do all this. So yeah, come and take them. I think we've sold 2 of them so far. We've got 8 dogs.
Well, mum's a purebred, dad's a mix.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, we'll go back to full screen and I'll finish up for the night, I think. Alrighty, so thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next video.